On the Shanghai Auto Show and China's auto industry going forward, we're joined by Lauren Fix, automotive expert and editor-in-chief of Car Coach Reports from Buffalo, New York. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, this is the first major in-person car show since the pandemic started. So what are the expectations for this event?
Well, this is big because there is no Chicago, New York, LA, Geneva. I mean, everything's been shut down. And this is the only show that is scheduled to actually happen. So manufacturers are jumping on board, which is why you're seeing a huge presentation from just about every manufacturer globally, because this is their only spotlight to get not just media, but get any kind of attention to see and get feedback on the new product they're putting out.
So talk about some of the brands that are participating and what they're really doing to try and stand out.
Well, for example, like if we're starting alphabetically, I guess it'd be Audi. I mean, they've got the A4 and the A6. They're available in an e-tron. So that means that's their all electric vehicle. And they wanted to showcase it there because this is the largest market for anybody, actually, any car manufacturer. Now, China is the #1 marketplace. And it's important that they showcase something that's going to meet the new initiative that's going to be coming out, because they're expecting to have 25% of their cars all electric by 2035. So if they don't deliver, they're going to get cut out. And that same thing is true with their sister company, which is Volkswagen. They have the ID4 and the ID6, which are new here in the US, at least the ID4 is here and in dealers. But there's a lot of demand. And the interesting thing is the people that want electric cars are buying electric cars. And in China, you have to buy one because eventually you're going to be in a situation where you don't want to buy something you can't use.
Exactly. So then what are some of the new models that you're seeing unveiled that are really giving a lot of buzz?
Well, interesting, Lincoln brought out, they've had SUVs and they brought in what they call PHEVs or plug-in hybrid EVs, but they've also brought out a name they haven't used in a long time. It was called the Lincoln Zephyr. So it's a very pretty sedan, and it's going to be China only because sedans here in the US are just not selling at the same level that they used to. People have switched to large SUVs and crossovers and pickup trucks. But in China, sedans still sell. You're also noticing that Toyota and Honda and Nissan are all bringing out, big players here in the US are all bringing electric vehicles to market there first. So you're going to see it there. The Qashqai, which is also the Rogue here, is coming out as the X-Track. So you're seeing a lot of interesting vehicles meeting that are very much not something you would see in China. Typically, you don't see SUVs, but you're starting to see small compact SUVs, a lot more technology. And like you were saying, we're going to wait to see how long we can get these to dealer, because the biggest problem is going to be the semiconductors and also the additional rubber shortage. So with those two shortages, that's going to cause a real problem with supply.
Now, it's interesting. Obviously, a lot of companies either going from hybrid to fully electric, and then you have brands like Tesla and Leo that came in the door with electric vehicles being their most prominent goods. So then how do they compare? How do you see that landscape changing over time?
Oh, there's going to be a lot of changes. I don't believe that every single person is going to be able to go electric. I think China's already witnessing what happens when you put a lot of electric cars on the ground. They need charging, and people charge when they need to charge, not necessarily only at night. And the infrastructure for every country is a problem. And to replace all the old infrastructure that's not tied together, we have different units all around the US. There's different, depends when it was built. Are many of them as old as 100 years old. So that all has to be updated. And then beyond that, what are you going to get for wind and solar? The maximum China's been able to accomplish is 11%. On paper, the best you can get is maybe 18%. So you still are in need of having what's called base load power, which is natural gas. You could use coal, but the greenest form of energy, and China figured this out, is nuclear power, where in the past everyone was tearing down their nuclear power plants. They're now very aware that this is one of the cleanest, no carbon footprint ways of producing power. So they're putting together nuclear power plants. In addition, what's interesting is they're creating something that's called blue gas. The largest station is in Shanghai. There's over $66 billion invested in that. And that is a form of hydrogen that you can use to power electric vehicles. So they're being very creative. So it's going to happen this way, because otherwise we're not going to be able to have that many electric cars. So it's easy to put, as I say, the cart in front of the horse.
Right.
But if there's no electricity to charge all these cars that people are buying, we're going to have a problem. And then there's still a problem with the cost of electricity is going to get very expensive.
And obviously, people are looking to China as the biggest auto market in the world and the biggest electric car market in the world. What are Chinese consumers interested in? What are some of the trends that we should be keeping an eye on?
Well, one of the things I think that it's important to note for trends is right now they want something new. And there's a different culture in China than there is here in the US. we purchase cars, we lease them 3 years, we get rid of them. You buy a used car and you keep it for 5 to 10 years, you get rid of it. In China, they don't. They purchase a car and they use it, and when they're done with it and they want to move on, they pass it to a family member, so it remains in the family. They don't have a used car market like we have here in North America. So that is interesting to note. So if you're going to sell someone a car, it has to meet their needs, not just today, but down the road. So their cars are a little different. There's a big demand for Buick, for Lincoln, a lot of the American brands, but also there's a lot of loyalty to the Chinese brands, and that's really important. And you'll notice that with Geely or XPeng, there's a lot of different manufacturers, and they're going to be able to get those to the people. Again, we still have a problem with how they're going to pay for it, the electricity costs, and here in the US, our biggest hurdle is going to be insurance and the cost of the vehicle and any of the maintenance on it, because that is very expensive.